You won't believe what happens when a spoiled Karen's daughter thought she was above the law and decided my ATV was her new toy. She thought she was untouchable, but life had other plans. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you don't want to miss the wild twists, betrayals, and justice that unfolds in this insane true-to-life style story. I never thought moving into a neighborhood with an HOA would lead to the wildest and most infuriating ordeal of my life, but that's exactly what happened the summer after I finally bought my dream ATV, a sleek, roaring machine that I had saved for years to purchase, and it all started with Karen, the kind of HOA board member who could weaponize the rule book and her inflated sense of entitlement in ways that made you question whether you were living in America or under some tiny dictatorship. And of course she had a teenage daughter named Madison who had been spoiled from birth, a girl who strutted around with the confidence of royalty, treating neighbors like servants and teachers like peasants, always quick to remind anyone who challenged her that her mom ran the neighborhood, and knew people in high places, which might have been laughable if it weren't for the fact that Karen constantly enabled this behavior and used HOA rules like her personal arsenal. So when Madison set her eyes on my ATV parked neatly inside my driveway one sunny afternoon, smirking at it like it was destined to be hers, I had no idea how far she'd actually go, because the very next week, after I came home from work covered in grease and sweat and dreaming of a ride through the trails, my ATV was gone, vanished like a ghost, and at first I thought maybe I had parked it in the backyard or that my brother had borrowed it, but within minutes the sinking realization hit that it had been stolen. And just as panic and rage collided inside me, I saw it. A blurry video from my security cam, and there was Madison, Karen's daughter, giggling with two of her friends as they hotwired my ATV right out of my driveway like it was a scene out of some teen heist movie, and I couldn't believe the audacity, because she wasn't even trying to hide her face. She looked straight into the camera, smirked, and threw up a mocking peace sign before roaring off with my machine, and that was the moment I knew this wasn't just theft. This was a declaration of war, so I stormed down the street to confront Karen, and of course, she was standing in her front yard watering flowers with that smug look she always wore, and when I told her what happened she didn't even look shocked, she just raised an eyebrow and said, "Kids will be kids, you should have locked it better," like it was somehow my fault that her criminal-in-training daughter had just committed grand theft, and when I demanded she call Madison home immediately, Karen folded her arms and smirked, telling me, "Do you know who you're talking to? My daughter is untouchable, so don't even think about calling the cops, because I'll make your life hell with the law." And in that moment I realized she genuinely thought she was above the law, that somehow neighborhood politics could shield her daughter from real consequences, but little did she know, I had receipts, literal video evidence of Madison's smug little theft, so I called the police right in front of her, and as expected she launched into a full Karen meltdown, screaming that she knew the chief, and that I was making a huge mistake, but when the cops arrived and I showed them the video, they couldn't ignore it, though Karen tried every trick in the book, from claiming it was staged, to saying I gave Madison permission to borrow it, which was the dumbest lie I had ever heard, and the cops, while polite, seemed hesitant, like they'd dealt with her antics before, so they issued a report but didn't arrest Madison on the spot, which only fueled her arrogance, because the next day Madison came parading down the street actually riding my ATV, revving the engine and laughing as she shouted, "Thanks for the gift, loser." While her friends filmed TikToks, and the rage that burned in my chest was unlike anything I'd ever felt, but I stayed calm, because I knew revenge would be sweeter if I played it smart, so I dug deeper, installing better cameras, documenting every interaction, and even talking with neighbors who confessed that Madison had stolen bikes, mail packages, and even smashed car windows, but everyone had been too afraid to report it because Karen used her HOA power to fine them, harass them, or threatened to take them to court over petty rule violations, so it was clear this was bigger than just my ATV, this was a pattern of bullying and corruption, and I decided I was going to be the one to break it, so I compiled all my evidence into a folder, videos, witness statements, receipts of the ATV's purchase, and I marched into the police station, demanding action. And this time I got a detective who didn't roll his eyes at Karen's name, someone who promised to dig deeper, and while the wheels of justice turned slowly, Madison kept flaunting her stolen joyride, even crashing into someone's mailbox one night and laughing it off like she was above consequences. But karma has a funny way of arriving when you least expect it, because one fateful weekend, Madison decided to take my ATV with her friends out to the trails near the edge of town, live streaming the whole thing like the entitled brat she was, and sure enough she lost control, flipped it, and ended up with a sprained wrist and some bruises. But more importantly, the ATV was wrecked beyond repair, and the livestream provided undeniable evidence of her theft, her reckless driving, and her lack of remorse. So when the detective saw it, that was the nail in the coffin, because a week later officers showed up at Karen's pristine front door with a warrant, and for the first time in her life, Madison's smirk disappeared as she was handcuffed and led into the back of a patrol car, screaming about how her mom would fix this, while Karen shrieked like a banshee, threatening lawsuits and swearing everyone in the neighborhood would pay. But the law didn't care about law power, and seeing Madison in that cruiser was the sweetest justice I could imagine. Though the story didn't end there, because Karen tried to rally the neighborhood to defend her, sending out long newsletters accusing me of framing her baby, and trying to ruin the community spirit. But this time the neighbors didn't buy it, because my folder of evidence had been circulating, and everyone knew the truth. So instead of rallying support, she faced a revolt, with neighbors demanding she step down from the HOA board, and eventually she was voted out, humiliated and isolated, while Madison ended up with probation, community service, and a record that would follow her for years. And my ATV, though destroyed, became a symbol in the neighborhood, a symbol of standing up to bullies who think they're untouchable. And while I never got the machine back in one piece, I did get something better. The satisfaction of seeing justice served and watching an empire of entitlement crumble. And every time I hear an engine roar now, I smile, because I know that no matter how high someone thinks they stand, karma always knows how to knock them back down. And if you've ever dealt with a Karen in your life, let this be a reminder. Document everything, stand your ground, and never let arrogance make you doubt the power of the truth, because in the end, even the most spoiled brat who thinks she's untouchable can end up exactly where she belongs, behind bars.